Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing some fall DIYs using paper bags. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. And I'm also going to be collaborating with my good friends today, and I will be talking about them here in just a little bit. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Right, Maxwell? Okay, for this first one, I'm using some of the Dollar Tree plastic plates. You get 5 in a pack. They measure 5 3/4 inches in diameter. And then I'm just going to take a regular paper bag, cut it open, and I'm going to divide it between the 3 plates. Now, if you can't get a grocery bag, you can get these on Amazon. They sell them in a bulk pack. But we're going to take our bag, we're going to wad it up really good. We want a lot of wrinkles in this paper. This is what's going to break down the fibers of the paper to make it a little bit easier to handle. But you definitely spend some time on this. And if you want to spritz it with water, it does help it a little bit better. But I was kind of in a hurry. I didn't want to have to dry it. And to attach it to my plate, I'm going to use some matte Mod Podge. I'm going to cover my plate completely, the bottom part and the sides. Put a generous amount on here. And then we're going to take our paper and we're going to kind of smooth it out over here. Just kind of smooth it out. You'll still have your wrinkle lines in it, but you want to make sure that it is flat. And next we're going to flip it over. We're going to pull all our paper to the inside of here, and then we're going to cut off the excess right in the center. Open it up and just kind of trim it around in a little circle. And then we're going to put a generous amount of Mod Podge into the center and glue this in. And don't worry about it being so wrinkled looking on this side. We're going to cover all this up. But you want to make sure that you do pull it so that you do get a round circle around the edge. Make sure you don't have any that pucker so that you do have a complete round surface. And then you're going to do the other two exactly the same way. Okay, next I'm just taking a regular paper bag. Now I bought these in bulk from Amazon. You could use craft paper for this or even another paper bag, but we're just going to make a little circle to go around the back part just to cover this entire thing up. And then just cut those out, and then we're going to put those right into the center of the plate. Just using hot glue to attach this, so get all the way around the edges really good and in the center as well, and then just really flatten that out. This just really finishes out your project. If somebody picks it up and looks at the back, at least it's finished. Okay, next I got this table runner at Dollar Tree. It was $1.25. I'm going to take another plastic plate and I'm just going to go around the half moon shape on here and cut these out. We're going to cut 4 of these out. So you want to cut a half moon and then we're going to cut it in to make it look like a moon. You'll see what I'm doing here as I'm cutting it. So just draw your circle. So you want to make sure that you are cutting the circle just like the plate that you used. And then we'll come in and cut another piece off of it to kind of make it look like the shape of a moon. And you're going to cut 4 of these exactly the same way. I would highly recommend grabbing some of these table runners right now because they really are pretty just like they are. And you could do so many crafts with them. So we're going to attach our plates together. We're going to put 1 on top and 2 on the bottom and mark exactly on your plate where the glue line is going to be because that's the only area that you want to glue because that's the only part that's going to touch the other 2 plates. So just mark it with a pencil and then just glue on those 2 lines on both sides and then just set that on top just to let that dry. We're making a pumpkin. Just kind of really line it up and let that dry. To give it a little extra support, I'm going to take another piece of that bag and I'm just going to glue the 2 sides together on the bottom. Just put a little bit of glue on both sides and then join those. This will just give it a little bit more strength. Next, I'm taking some of the Holtz Distressing Ink in the Walnut stain color, and I'm just going to stain these. And this is where wadding the paper bag up, making it really wrinkled, this is where it really does give it a lot of nice texture. And I'm going to do all my plates like this and the sides as well. And then you're going to flip it over onto the back, and you're going to do the back also. Okay, next we're going to attach our table runner pieces right to the edge of each one of these plates. And we're just going to use regular hot glue to attach these. And if you need to trim it out a little bit, once you put it onto your plate, if you have some kind of hanging over the edge, trim that out because you do want it to be flush with the side of that plate. And to attach these, we're just going to use hot glue. Just put a little bit of hot glue, kind of get it centered on there, and then start gluing it in. You don't want to put too much glue on here. You just want to get enough to where it does hold. So just a real thin bead of glue will work good. And you're going to glue all 4 of them exactly the same way. And you're going to put a little bit of glue in the front part as well, just to make sure it does lay flat. And then you're going to glue the other 3 exactly the same way. Just make sure that you do get them pretty flat. And don't worry if you do see glue right now, because we are going to fix all this here in just a second. Just really spend some time trying to get these lined up straight. And if you need to use a craft stick instead of your finger to push these down, if the glue is too hot for you, then that's what I would do. Next, I'm just taking a heat source and I'm kind of going over each one of these just to kind of smooth out any of the glue. This will kind of really just melt it in, and you're not going to burn these. Don't stay on them too long because you don't want to take a chance of them warping, but just kind of lightly go over them quickly. Okay, next, since there's an indent in that plate, I'm going to put a stem on. I'm going to have to cut a piece of cork to set it up on there, and I cut that one a little bit too big. I'm just going to cut it down a little bit smaller, just big enough to touch the ledge of the plate. Glue that on, and then I'm going to glue my stem onto that, and I'll give you the link for these stems. I get these on Amazon. You get quite a big bag of them. To trim out the plates, I'm just going to go with some jute. This is a 5mm jute. I'm going to put 1 on each side of this pumpkin, and then I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to get all the frayed edges off of this. Now you can do this in your hand if you want to. If you're not comfortable with it, just take it outside, put it on some concrete, and let it burn out there. It's really not, it just does the very little end pieces of it, and then it kind of ages it a little bit as it's doing it. Okay, then you're going to cut your jute in half, and you're going to put 1 on this side and 1 on the opposite side, and I'm just going to glue it in, and then there's going to be a little bit extra that hangs over the top and the bottom, and I'm going to tuck those into the back part of my plate. This just kind of gives it a nice finished edge on this top plate. And then just turn that to the back and glue that down. And then you're going to do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. Next, I got these little wooden fall leaves at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to stain those with a honey stain. And this is just a water-based stain, and I'll give you the link for that in the description below. Next, with that same stain, I'm going to stain 2 wooden blocks that measure 1 inch by 1 inch, and I'm also going to stain 2 of the Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree. Next, I'm just going to glue it to the back of my pumpkin. I'm going to put my Jenga blocks on first so that they go to the height of the plate, and then I'm going to put my wooden block on top of those just so that it can stand up. This is just so that your plate can stand up, or your pumpkin can stand up. We're going to attach our wooden blocks. Just stand your plate up. Just make sure that it does stand straight up. Go ahead and glue that one on that side and the other one on the other side. Just make sure that they are standing up and that those blocks are all the way down to the ground or all the way down to your tabletop. And then this will stand freely by itself. Next, I'm just going to attach my leaf to the top edge. And then I'm going to add some Spanish moss around the top to finish this out. Just take little pieces of it and just kind of glue it up there. Next, for the pumpkin's tendril, I'm just taking some floral wire. It's brown. I'll give you the link for this in the description below. Just roll it around a 1/4 inch dowel stick, and then we're just going to wrap it around the top part of that stem. So kind of span it out a little bit in the center, and then just start wrapping that around. And then we'll glue this in here in a little bit. Okay, next I've given you these tags in the description below. You can just download them and cut them out. It just says hello fall on it. And then we're going to take them and we're just going to wad these up really tight to get them very wrinkled. Taking some of that same Tim Holtz distressing ink and the walnut stain, and I'm going to distress my tag. And I'm doing the entire tag. I'm just going to attach it right to the front, kind of at a diagonal, and I'm kind of going to scrunch it up a little bit so it's not just straight flat across there. So I'm just going to glue it on both sides and then just kind of scrunch it up right in the center. This was a pretty easy project. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Today is a pumpkin season collaboration with my good friends Linda with Linda DIY by Design, Wendy with White Sparrow Living, and Emily with Farm Charm Chic. Hop on over to their channel. I'll leave the playlist in the description below. You definitely want to check out what they've got going on. We're all doing fall today, and they are super talented, and I know you will love everything that they make. Thank you so much, and let them know that I sent you. This next one, just using another paper bag, and just go ahead and open it completely up. I'm going to cut the bottom off because I don't want to use any of the rough paper like that. And then we're just going to cut this bag in half because we're only going to use half of it. And then just like the last project, we're going to take it and we're going to wad it up really tight. Now this one we're really going to get really tight. We're going to break down all the fibers in it so that it is super wrinkled. And I'm going to roll it several ways. The more different ways that you fold it and roll it, the better it'll be and the more wrinkled it will get. You're going to open it up, kind of flatten it out a little bit, and then you're going to tear strips off of it. And these are about 1.5 inch strips, and I'm just tearing these into little pieces. You can use big pieces or little pieces. The bigger the pieces, the easier the project, but the littler the pieces, the better the definition on this project looks. And we're going to be making a pumpkin with this. But you want to tear your entire sheet into little pieces like this. Next, I'm using one of the Dollar Tree pumpkins. I'm going to take the top of it off and put that away. I'm not going to reuse that. And then I'm going to start with some Mod Podge, and I'm going to Mod Podge each one of these sheets onto my pumpkin. And it ended up being a little bit easier if you get it onto the paper first and then put it onto your pumpkin. And you want to overlap them as you're going. Now, I'm going to go fast on this so you can see what I'm doing, but you definitely want to overlap them. You don't want any of the orange showing when you're done. And then turn them different ways so that you have different textures, but just completely get it covered up. And don't worry so much about Mod Podge being on the outside. It will dry. And you really only need just one layer, so just try to really kind of make the best use of your paper to go as far as you can. And then once we get done, we're going to start going into the curves as we're going around it. Just kind of really push it into those curves because you want this to be as flat as possible. This is almost like creating a paper mache looking pumpkin. But just keep going until you have all your pumpkin completely covered up. You want to do the bottom as well, so just make sure that it is completely covered with this paper. Once you get it completely covered, if you have any places that orange is showing through, just go over the top of those as well. And then in real time, this took about 15 minutes to completely cover. So I'm taking the Tim Holtz Distressing ink and the Walnut stain also, and I'm going to go around my entire pumpkin like this. This is where when you have your overlapping paper, it really gives it a nice texture look because it does kind of get the lines a little bit darker on the outside edges. And just go around the entire pumpkin. You want to do the entire thing with this because you want it all to blend together. And if you have been following me for any length of time, y'all know that I do like this walnut stain. But they do make this in other colors too. They have one in linen. They have some that are aged photos. You know, kind of check them out and pick one you like. They also have them in colors as well. Next, I got these little stems from Amazon. I'll give you the link for them. And then that little leaf, I got that off of another one of my Dollar Tree projects. And I'm going to paint these with an espresso paint. Okay, while those are drying, I'm just going to take some thin jute rope. I'm going to start right in the center of my pumpkin, and I'm just going to glue this in. And I'm going to go around my pumpkin into each one of the little grooves all the way around. So you're going to go around one side, kind of hold it in the middle with your thumb, and then go to the next little area right there, and continue till you have every single one of your little grooves covered. Okay, then just cut off your string. And then we're going to glue a little bit underneath here, cut our string a little bit shorter, and then we're just going to stick our stem right down into the center to hold all this together. And then you're just going to flip it over and glue all that into the center. Just kind of line it up there and get all that glued in. I'm going to take my leaf and I'm just going to put it right up against that stem and glue that on.
Next, I'm just going to add a little bit of Spanish moss just to the top. I'm not going to use a lot. I'm just going to kind of put a little bit around here and kind of just go over the top part of that leaf. And then just add a little bit of hot glue just to hold this all together. To dress this up a little bit, I'm just going to add a few pine cones on each side. I'm putting 2 of them. I got this pine cone and acorn mixture at Hobby Lobby. Okay, I think that turned out so cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. This last one, I'm taking a piece of wood that measures 5 inches by 5 inches. I got this at Michael's, and they run about 99 cents. And then I'm going to paint this with just some dark brown paint. And then I'm going to take some black chalk paint and a chip brush, and I'm going to lightly distress my wood. This just gives a little bit of depth, makes it a little bit more look like wood. Okay, next I'm taking some sculpting wire that I got at Michael's. I'll give you the link for it, and I'm measuring this out to 11 inches, and I'm going to fold this over 14 times. Now what we're doing is we're making a tree. If you want your tree to have more branches, then do more than 14. But I'm just going back around 14 times, just kind of bending it at the curve, and then going back down, but you're going to do 14 different times. And this is just a real thin wire. You can bend it with your hands relatively easy. Okay, next I'm going about 1 inch up from the bottom, and I'm just going to twist it. And then I'm going to open these bottom sections open, 3 sections of them. And this is going to be for the trunk of the tree. And then you're going to give them a couple little twists right there at the end, just to hold them together. Just make sure that it does stand up. Then you're going to bend the base of it just about halfway up. Just kind of twist it till it stays together good. And then we're going to start opening up our branches. Just figure out exactly how tall you want your tree to be, and then start opening up your branches. And I'm using 2 wires per each branch, and I think on one of them I only used 1. Now that wire there, just wrap it around the body of the tree, and then finish opening up your branches. And then the wire that's at the top, that sticks out by itself, you want to wrap it around the body of the tree as well. And then just spend some time just opening up your branches and putting them exactly like you want them. And then twist them till you get to the end of them. And then just continue shaping them. Next, I use the other half of that bag that we used a minute ago. I cut it into 2-inch strips, and I am going to wrinkle it up really good. I'm breaking down the fibers on this. And then I decided to add 1 more branch in here. So you can just take your wire, wrap it around a few times, and then add your other branch, and then just cut that off. So you can add branches as you go. Okay, next I'm just going to tear my paper in half. So these end up being about 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to start by wrapping our branches first. So just put a little bit of glue at the end of them, and then you're going to put your paper on there, and you're going to kind of twist it as you go around. The more imperfect this is, the better it's going to look. So just kind of twist it. You just want to get all those branches completely covered up. And then when you get to the end of each branch, you're just going to glue that down. And then you're going to do all your branches exactly the same way. If you want to spritz your paper first, that's a little bit easier to get it more wrinkled up like that. And it will dry pretty easy, and you can glue with this. But we're going to start at the trunk, and we're going to just go around each one of the bottom trunks. And we're going to leave a little tail at the end, kind of like it's a root. So once you get to the end of your little wire, just keep wrapping it around, and then keep going little bit farther just to make a little root, like it's going to run a root. Just kind of twist it up there like that. And then you're going to do the other 2 exactly the same way. You just want a little bit of root coming off of them. And then do the other 2 the same way. It's going to sit on our little post just like that. Once you get all 3 of those done, we're going to just glue this right to our piece of wood. Just really make sure that that does glue down good. And then just run your little roots on out and glue those down as well. Just don't make them look so perfect. Just kind of make them where they just kind of run out there a little bit and then end. Next, you're going to take another piece of paper, and we're going to finish out the top. Just wrap it all the way around each one of the branches just to kind of tie them all together. This will cover up any extra wire that you see at the tips or at the base. And then we're going to start coming down the bottom of the tree. Okay, you're just going to start taking some paper and wrapping the bottom part of the tree. And you want the very bottom part of the tree to be a little bit thicker than the top part. So kind of add as you go, wrap it around, and then start adding some more because you want it to kind of span out so that the bottom of the tree is thicker. And I'm going to go quick on this so you can see what I'm doing. You're literally just wrapping it and then adding to make it a little bit thicker. And we're overlapping so that we do get a little bit thicker at the base. This is what it ends up looking like once you get it completely covered. Next, to give it some depth, we're going to take some brown paint and a chip brush, and we're going to lightly dry brush the entire tree. Now disregard the yellow leaves that I got laying down there. I'm not using them. But you're just going to dry brush each one of the branches, and then we're going to come back in with some black and do the same thing. And that little knot I have on the tree, just take some paper and roll it up and then glue it on. I guess I got out of the camera on that one, but that's how I did that. And make some leaves for our trees. We're going to cut our paper to about 1.5 inches wide. And then we're going to fold it up so we can cut a lot of leaves at one time. We're going to take our paper, we're going to fold it up several times, and then we're just going to cut a small leaf shape in here. And if you cut a lot of them at the same time, it makes it a little bit easier, but you're going to use about 10 leaves per branch. You're going to take each one of your leaves and you're going to fold them long ways. And then we're going to take some of the Tim Holtz distressing ink and we're just going to distress them. To attach them to my limbs, I'm just going to start at the base of each one of the limbs and I'm just going to start overlapping them like that. You can put 2 sideways and then you can put 1 in the center. Just get them on there however you want to. Just kind of really fill this in. And you could have some pointing downwards as well. Just kind of go outside and look at a tree, see how the leaves look on it, and then just start filling it up. And we're going to put quite a few leaves on each one of these branches. You just want to kind of really cover up the branches. And this really didn't take that long. I mean, this whole project probably took maybe an hour, I would say. And then you're going to do all the limbs exactly the same way. What's nice about using this wire, once you get all your branches with their leaves on them, you can start bending them certain ways just to kind of get it to shape out like you want it to. Then once I finish those, I'm just going to come back in with a tea dye that's made by Tim Holtz. It's a distressing ink that has a little bit of an orange hue to it. This just kind of gave it a little bit of color separation between the 2 colors. And I'm going to do that to all of my leaves. Next, I'm taking some black chalk paint and I'm just going to dry brush each one of my leaves. This kind of gave all the colors a little bit of separation, made them a little bit more realistic looking. It just really made it pop a little bit. And I'm doing all the branches like this. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of Spanish moss just between each one of the roots. This just kind of gave it a little bit of decoration. And you can add as little or as much as you want to, but it does kind of finish it out a little bit on the bottom. And then that's how that ended up looking. Okay, next I'm going to add a few pine cones and a few acorns down at the bottom, just kind of finish this out. Okay, and that's how that ended up looking. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it gave you some fall inspiration to get out there and make some things for your home. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. I really appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome. See you next time. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to hop on over to these other ladies' channels. Check out what they've got. I've got in the description below, the playlist. Just click on it. I promise you, you will love everything that they make.